When I was in the 11th grade, it was the day before Christmas. My sister planned for me and my little brother to sleep over at her place because my parents were out of town and didn't want us alone. I thought it was silly because I was almost an adult. I agreed since my little brother really liked my sister's house. But when my sister came, she was really tired and said maybe we should just sleep at our house. Keep in mind, she was heavily pregnant and her water was going to break any second. For some reason, I was extremely agitated and annoyed with her. I usually never do because we understand each other. But this one time I got angry and told her to go home if she was just going to sleep and there was no point. Long story short, we got into a heated argument that ended with us driving to her place at 2 a.m. It was 10 a.m. in the morning when she got a call from our mom that the doors to our house were broken down with what looked like an axe and hammer. There were marks of the axe everywhere. Everything was trashed. Doors were broken, windows were smashed. The weird thing was, nothing was stolen except for a few currencies that are useless in America. They're no longer used anywhere in the world, so I don't know what the robbers were going to do with that. I get the chills every time I think about what if I hadn't put up a fight with my sister and slept at her place. So let's not meet robbers that have the useless currency. It was my first winter break of my first semester of college. I was living in the dorms and all my roommates and friends had gone home for Christmas. One night I heard a knock at the door. It was around midnight, but it wasn't uncommon for students to be up and about. I'm a total extrovert, and being alone was getting me down, so I was excited thinking one of my friends had popped over to visit me. I opened the door. It wasn't one of my friends, but some guy I had never seen. He walked right past me into my dorm and sat on the couch. I know, I should have stopped him, but it happened so fast and I, stupidly, didn't want to be rude. "Hey," he said. He asked my name and started asking about who my roommates were. When I said their names, he said he knew them and had come by to say hello. Right there, I realized how fishy this was. He said he didn't know who lived here, but 2 seconds later he claimed he came over to say hello. No, this was weird. And I was all alone with him. "Oh, well, it's late, you should go," I said. "Can I just sleep on your couch?" "No, my roommates wouldn't like that." "Are they home?" "They'd be fine, just let me sleep here." "No!" At this point I got a weird feeling. He became very insistent about staying and kept asking if anyone was home. I started to care less about being polite. "No, you need to go. My roommates are sleeping and they don't like having strangers stay over. You need to go, now." Reluctantly, he got up and slowly shuffled out. To this day, I get a weird feeling thinking about it. How he kept asking if anyone was there and how he planted himself to the couch, wanting to stay. Yeah, he may have just been a harmless student who actually knew my roommates. But I never saw him again and my roommates didn't know anyone matching his description. About 6 years ago, I was a very pregnant woman at the mall. It was close to the holidays and I had found a rock star spot, just 3 rows out from the main entrance, which I thought was great. Turns out that close spot probably saved me. I came out to my car after having my ring cleaned. I unlocked my car, opened the driver's door, tossed my purse through, and plopped down, only to find a woman in my car. She had seen me come out to my car, followed, and just got in when I unlocked the doors. I have keyless entry, 2 clicks to unlock all the doors. I don't do this anymore. 1 click, 1 door. So I don't close my door, and I put 1 leg back out so I can get out. She starts telling me that her car wasn't working, and the tow company told her it would be a 3-hour wait. She wanted me to take her to her hotel at 95th and Main. I told her I couldn't. Something seemed off about her. She tried telling me she had nowhere to wait. All the while, she's buckling into the seat and putting her purse at her feet. I told her that the mall didn't close till 9 p.m. It was only about 3, and that she could wait inside. About this time being a few weeks before Christmas, cars had lined up behind me to take my spot. Someone pissed from waiting hopped out and started yelling about if I was leaving or not. That's when the woman took off. I told the person who was yelling what happened, and he offered to follow me out of the lot. It was only as I pulled out of the mall that I realized there isn't a hotel at that intersection. There isn't a hotel within 5 miles of that intersection. Hell, there isn't a hotel on either one of those streets, in either direction from that intersection for that far. My pregnancy brain didn't let me remember that while she was in the car. So, random weird lady needing a ride, let's not meet. I had completely forgotten about this until yesterday when I saw the man in question. At the time, I was working as a sales assistant in the lingerie and nightwear section of a well-known department store. It was Christmas time, so it wasn't unusual to get men coming in to look for present underwear or pajamas for their wives. Normally, I had no trouble with this. I'd usually sit the men down, ask for their wives' size, and go find them a selection of items to choose from. Most men were delighted with this, as they essentially got their Christmas shopping done for them, with very little effort on their part. Anyway, one day, a man of 72 came in. He told me his age straight away, and told me he wanted to find some nice underwear for his young girlfriend. This man wore a helmet, like those protective ones for people with head injuries, and used a rollator to aid his walking. But he seemed in his right mind. Nevertheless, the hairs on my neck stood up and I knew instantly there was something creepy about him. As I walked around the shop with him picking out different items for his girlfriend, he got more and more inappropriate. Apparently she was about my bra size. Yes, he looked at my chest and I had to pick out bras for him in my size so he knew exactly what size I wore. As well as this, he said she was also about my age, 19 at the time. Increasingly freaked out, I found what he was looking for as fast as possible, and took him to the tills. I was at the very end till, meaning customers could stand by my side if they wished. As I was finishing the transaction, the man started talking about how he has to try to keep up with his young girlfriend, and the underwear would help this. He started getting more detailed about their sex life, so I quickly finished the transaction, gave him a rushed "Happy Christmas, take care," and basically let him know we were done chatting. This didn't deter him, though. Instead of leaving the shop, he just moved aside to make space for the next customer in line, and stood at the side of the till I was working on, staring at me while rifling through the underwear in the bag. I finished my customer's transaction and rushed off to the ladies' fitting room where I knew he couldn't follow me. Old and frail or not, he scared the shit out of me. Creepy fucker. This takes place a few years back when I was in university, so basically young and dumb. There was a class gathering at a restaurant for a small Christmas party, and my friend Karen and I decided to meet up beforehand. We agreed to take the train and meet at a certain stop instead of driving to save us the hassle. I stepped into a nearly empty train cart and sat down, immediately pulling out my iPod and turned up the music. It was cold and early in the afternoon, so the only people on there, excluding myself, was an elderly couple and a bundled-up man sitting across from me. I dismissed him and turned to my music until I felt an uneasy feeling. I looked up and saw him smiling a friendly smile. I nodded at him but ignored him. I held my purse tighter and slowly started to put away my iPod so I could make a break for it when my stop came. As soon as the train stopped, I stepped off. I started to speed walk towards the elevator to go above ground. In hindsight, I should have took the stairs, but in my haste to go, I took the elevator. The guy slipped in as I feared, and he was a big man. They looked even bigger all bundled up, and I was a young petite girl, so I was even more terrified. He smiled down at me and said, "You have the most beautiful shoes ever." I was so shocked I couldn't do anything but stare down and noticed I was wearing my favorite black stiletto heels. At this point, I had forgotten I was even wearing heels. I muttered a quiet thank you and inched away from him in the confined space. He sighed and said, "You must have beautiful feet. I will do anything to have them." I was freaking out on the inside and I pressed myself up against the wall the best I could. He continued, "Do you want to come to my place? I'm sure I have more beautiful shoes for your beautiful feet. I promise I'll do anything for you." At this point, I was so scared I didn't know what to do, except stick my hand in my bag and grope around for the mace my boyfriend bought me, hoping I wouldn't have to use it. The man began to smile and said, I'm sure I have a pair of red heels that will make your black hair stand out even more." I muttered a no thank you and was relieved when the elevator door opened. But in order to get past the door, I had to squeeze past the man who was positioned half in front of the door. He grinned and leaned in for a hug, which I quickly dodged, fearing for my life. I'll never forget his angry, chilling eyes when I turned back to see if he was following. He remained by the elevator smiling sinisterly and waving, muttering more to himself about beautiful red shoes. Thankfully for me, my friend Karen showed up, and at the sight of her, he fled down a flight of stairs. I was, and still am, terrified of getting in an elevator after that experience. So you creepy-ass shoe fetish man, let's not meet.